Hello, everybody. How are y'all tonight? Welcome to the CypherCast, our first live CypherCast on twitch.tv/otherdoc. Hi, I am Andrew Cady. Also with me is Danny Neary. Say hi, Danny.
Hey, everybody. Cheers. What are you drinking tonight?
Purple Kool-Aid in a skull mug. And we have also with us Jim Ryan. How you doing, Jim?
Greetings. I am beleaguered right now. I'm doing 9,000 things at once, but it is glorious.
Well, thank you for letting us crash your Twitch stream tonight, and have fun trying to do this live.
Yes. Here we go. Let's see what crashes first.
I know, right?
Well, after the stream.
Good Lord. Let me go here. Yeah, so many things to do with this right now.
All right. So much shenanigans are ensuing that I've already lost the. Yep, I have lost the entire outline. Hooray!
Excellent. Yay, technology.
Yes.
You're changing things up.
Yep.
Well, that's quite all right. There's also actually a very important link I need to send you guys in the Zoom chat that I suddenly realized that I had utterly forgotten to do because, yay, new technology. And that would be that one.
Our listeners are still going to get to listen to the CypherCast, right?
That is that is the idea, yes. And hence the reason I am sending you that link.
Oh gosh.
The cool thing is that, we're going to do this live here. And if you miss us, it will still be thrown out there in the podcast. Jim's going to do his editing,
Yeah, absolutely.
So those of you who are joining us live, you get to see us restart the show.
That's right. If need be, I actually can scrape it off of the video if it comes down to it. So there's
we can restart. The live folks won't mind that much.
Hey guys, how's it going? Professionalism.
See, that's the cool thing about doing live is people get to see the behind the scenes shenanigans.
Yes, exactly.
What goes wrong and right about us doing a podcast.
Yeah, totally. So it's as you're looking in there, like I said, it's probably going to look as though it's as though your line is the only one moving when you're speaking. And
yep.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's because I've got that part shut off. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start the actual recording of the podcast now.
All right.
Hey,
so just pretend those last 2 minutes didn't exist.
Yes. Aren't you lucky? You get to see 2 intros. All right. Here we go. If we could have 15 seconds of silence starting now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CypherCast for October. Our first one trying to do it live. So, hey, if you're listening to this not live, well, you could have saw us over at twitch.tv/otherdoc. We'll be here next month doing it as well. I am Andrew Cady, and I'm here with my co-host, Danny Neary.
Hey, everybody.
And also our other co-host, Jim Ryan. How you doing, Jim?
Greetings. I am terribly beleaguered, but I am enjoying it.
Jim is flustered because he's doing all our tech stuff, and we're just sitting here coasting by.
Oh, yes. Thank you for allowing us to invade your Twitch stream today. So.
Oh, it's awesome. It's totally awesome. I'm so glad to share it with you.
All right. Today we've got a lot to talk about with Monte Cook Games stuff, and mostly Numenera Discovery into Destiny that just launched yesterday. We've been pouring over the books. Some of us had them earlier than others from Gen Con and Kickstarters, but we've been pouring over it. We've got a lot of good goodies to talk about. Mainly, we're going to talk about the communities today, the fun little additions to the Numenera world of the players being part of a community and having to grow that community and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that to come.
And Andrew, are we going to make our own?
We may. We just may.
With some help from chat, maybe?
Could be.
If you're there, totally. This is the time to do it. If you're there watching live right now, we may ask for a few prompts should anyone be willing to give them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Well, how have you guys been? It's been a while since we've been able to meet. We're with Gen Con sort of draining everybody. So we kind of took a month off of a live recording. So how you been, Danny?
It's been going. I've been keeping busy and happy to be here. This is kind of cool, like hanging out with you and getting to chat and stuff. So I've missed you all. I've been playing a bit on Jim's stream, which he's picking up some big speed here.
Yay.
How about you, Jim? You've launched a Kickstarter, huh, Jim? Oh, not a Kickstarter. Jeez, not that. You launched a Twitch stream for yourself in the interim. Jim, how's that going for you?
Oh, that seems to be going well. I'm just checking out the. Sorry, give me just a second whilst I'm looking this over. Are we still? Yes, we're still. Okay, good, excellent. Sorry, no, I thought for a moment everything had crashed, but
no, we're still up and running. It's good.
Oh my gosh, we have a special guest. Say hi and get upstairs. Read your book by yourself now. Love you.
I have been doing just fine. It's been kind of crazy. I've started doing this whole streaming thing. It has me in its clutches, and but it is glorious. I don't think I'd have it any other way. It's just one of those things where I get to do my. It's a combination of my various gaming addictions and theatrical addictions all sort of rolled into one, and so I'm having a heck of a time with it so far.
Cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So it looks like it's a lot of fun.
Are you guys
play a little bit of We Happy Few and other games? So
yes, that too.
Andrew, what about you?
Oh, I have been neck deep in everything Boy Scout or Cub Scout related and work. That's kind of been my life for the last couple months. So my son is 6 and joined the Tiger Cubs, and they drafted me to be his den leader on that. So
nice.
I've been doing a lot of leadership stuff on that and having a good time.
So what are the chances of you running some like Newman Era for the Boy Scouts?
I don't know. Probably not. Cub Scout, maybe some No Thank You Evil. I've been trying to figure out how to fit that in, but see if I can get that in. But probably not Numenera yet. They're still kind of 6 and 7 and 8.
Oh, yeah.
So
I look forward one day to the adoption of the Ninth World badge.
That would be good.
So all right. Cool. So with Numenera Discovery and Destiny coming out, it was also announced just recently that the Building Tomorrow supplement by Bruce and Sean will be coming out later this month. So not only do you get a ton of new ciphers, a bunch of new community-related stuff, things to threaten your players' haphazard community with, to destroy it with evil things. You also get to give them a nice companion creature to torment as well, if you're going to be that sadistic of a GM.
I mean, these things happen.
Yeah, I know. It looks like a really cool little supplement book that they've got coming out sometime later this month. I'm not quite sure the date. It says mid-October. So it's the 4th now, so not too long to go.
I like that they're putting out something that is very specifically about looking forward. It's very much about how to advance the setting. Because I know a lot of settings have like a meta plot where the company will release additional splat books as time goes on, and they advance the plot in the background.
Yeah.
But this looks like something where they're trying to put that more in the hands of the players, and I really like that. I really like that approach to it.
Yeah, I've always liked that Numenera had sort of like, all right, here's all these hooks of possible threads of where the world's going or what's going on or things like that. And they kind of sort of have stepped back. They haven't done novels that are big, like this is the story of the world. It's more of like, here's a small area and what's going on here, and here's a small area, what's going on here. So it allows you as a GM to go, you know what? Here's a big meta plot that my players are involved in, and they're shaping the future of Numenera this way. And I think that's really cool that, they give you all the tools so you can do it yourself, and have your own canon of Numenera, rather than, having to adhere to an existing canon.
Yeah, totally, man. It's really awesome.
Because if they give you a set canon anyway, it's not like you're going to break your group is going to break it anyway. So it's just giving you the tools to actually build one and not salvage one that you've, destroyed. That's written in stone.
So. Yeah, and it looks like they're doing I'm just looking at the bullet points right now that they've put on what's included. So it looks like they've got stuff that might, from the way I'm interpreting it, is for that might be good for folks who've had a campaign going for a while too. Mm-hmm. Something where it's it's like these bigger and bigger challenges, or just going further and further out. And so I think it's also going to be something where it's like, okay, let's color in the edges of the map now, because that's where we've got our campaign. So you now have more stuff to throw out there as well.
Yeah.
I think we have some sad news that came out in the Monte Cook Games world, that Invisible Sun is out of stock right now.
What?
Oh yeah, well,
right. This just came out. So
that's true. They did just announce that Invisible Sun was coming. It was going to be out of stock. Or yeah, they did just announce that Invisible Sun is out of stock. For those of you watching the stream, this is my surprise face.
It's just so good. How was it not going to just fly out? If you were hesitant on, it's a pretty big ticket item price wise. And so if you were hesitant there about picking it up, and then you actually see it in person, you get to play it, there's no hesitation. It's like, I need that. And so, yeah, selling out quick was not a big surprise. Hey, Cypher Unlimited peeps, thanks for coming.
All right.
It is really cool that's happened as quickly as it has, and really it's just a very good setting.
Well, it's not cool if you didn't pick up a copy yet.
That is true.
Maybe do a second printing.
Hopefully. That'd be great if they can do that.
Probably a second printing Kickstarter, just to make sure that they have enough interest in what have you, and then that way they can fund more additional things rather than in addition to, what was it, the Book of M they've got coming out soon.
That's not a bad idea.
So.
And we'll still be figuring out all the secrets by that Kickstarter anyway. So if you have it, you're going to still be like...
Sort of what they did with the No Thank You Evil second Kickstarter to, hey, we've already had a print on this, so let's make some more copies. So I think that's a possibility. Granted, there's a lot of pieces in Invisible Sun that they got to worry about, so... Not my job, though. So, hey, I'll speculate.
Well, there is some happier news then. The new season of Cypher Play is out, or coming out there, that Sean Reynolds and Bruce Cordell wrote. It's Newman Era. Keeping the Badlands, it is. So I've run some Cypher.
I have to find a local shop somewhere near here. There's not many in Charlotte, surprisingly.
We have more than we used to. That's so there is that.
Oh, in my area, the two that are around here closed down.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're way to the west. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta figure that out. You gotta figure that out. But Danny, are you still you're still running stuff weekly out up in the Rhode Island lands?
I've been a little bit taking up my time with all the streaming I've been doing, but there is books on the table. I'm going back to my local game store and running Cypher Play again, because it's so awesome, and it's this incredible adventure, and everybody that's playing it gets a copy of it as you go along. So you get to run it for your friends after, and they're written by all-stars, and it's free. So if you're looking to play, go ask your friendly local game store and have them pick it up. They can.
Yeah, I wonder how they feel about being run on stream.
Ooh, I'll run that.
Interesting.
I think it's more
ideas.
Cool.
Well, I volunteer to GM if you get the the green flag.
All right. So Well, we wanted to talk today about communities. What do y'all think about communities in Numenera? In the, I think it's Destiny book. Yes, the wonderful Destiny book that they have out. They added a lot of ideas of the players in Numenera sort of having a place that they call home, and it could just be a base of operations, or that they level up as they do things, or it could be an actual community that they found and draw followers, or a community that they sort of it's their home and they want to make it better, and it's already a pre-established pre-game. So what do y'all think about this idea?
I love it. I'm really glad that they've. I'm a sucker for world building, though. So I mean, that's. I was already in the bag with this one.
As a GM, I love it too. So I don't get to play much, which I miss, but I also absolutely love playing it. And so I love that players are going to be creating their own thing. And as you said, Andrew, it gives you a lot to work with, whether you're tearing that place down or making some conspiracies in there. It's awesome to have the players hands-on making their world and giving you the world to work with. That makes our job easy as a GM.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing that they added, and I have a lot of friends that are big fans of the Eberron campaign setting and stuff like that. And with Numenera Discovery and Destiny, they talk more of transportation and vehicles and stuff like that. So you could make it this sort of like, let's traverse more of Numenera with these modes of transportation and go around and stuff like that. That that you could be sort of a ninth world hopping kind of a party and go solve problems in different areas and see a global conspiracy that your players are trying to interact with or stop or something like that has that more pulpy feel to it. Like you could create that. They've got sort of those vibes in some of the things that they've put out. So I like that aspect of it for my Eberron fans. I was never knew much of Eberron until but I've heard a lot about it from players. So
you're speaking of that, like with all these modes of transportation, there can be very distinct places in the ninth world that have totally different personalities, and you're making the community.
Like one of my favorite communities that they've added is called Rathathrum, and it is basically a community that is existing on top of a big giant flea-like automaton that sort of roams around the ninth world, and it's got a bazillion legs to it, and some of the legs aren't working, and they start all of them are starting to fail. So there's like the players might have to like make sure the thing survives, because if it falls over, then everybody in the community is in big trouble, and so you have this community itself that is wandering around the ninth world. So that way you can sort of have hey, when you leave the community, you're in a different area today, that kind of thing. So but it also like can roam on a track, so they visit the same places over and over again after a while, or maybe they learn how to steer it, who knows. So there's a lot of fun little ideas about this sort of community on the back of a giant automaton flea type creature.
Talk about having to take care of your environment, huh?
Yeah, and that's there's also this kind of Metropolis. No, the old sort of feel to it, where you've got the people that live above the flea and the people that live in the flea that make the machine work. The people that live above the flea that just sort of survive, that kind of thing. So it's like that old very, very old little sci-fi movie Metropolis, where it's you got the people underground that are keeping everything working together. So I was like, all right, you got that feel to it. I thought that was pretty neat too. That's
a very cool idea to just applying that. It didn't click in my head until you said Metropolis, and now I'm just sort of thinking about it.
Yeah,
it'd be really cool to have something set there.
The one I really like from Destiny, it's Foilier. I'm terrible at pronunciation, but it's basically a community that's built on the back of like living sea creatures with shells, and they've learned how to like control their environment and like shape move the shells a certain way so they can move. But people live their whole lives and never actually step on a piece of land. I love the idea of a living environment, whether it be you're walking flea that's made out of Newman Era, or actual creatures that they're manipulating. And there's a lot to work with as a GM thinking about. I mean, these are interactive worlds. They aren't just a piece of, dirt. Lots to play with.
That's a really cool take on the on that idea of that legend, just the village on the back of a giant animal type.
Oh yeah. Is
that the turtle?
Yeah, it's always the island turtle.
Yeah. Most often it's the turtle. Yeah. But I've seen there was like a video game I remember briefly. At some point, I can't remember exactly when it was. I want to say it was like somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s. But there were segments of it that you would play that some of it you would find out at least twice during that game that you were actually on the back of some giant animal. And one of them, I think it was a turtle, and then there was another where it was like on the back of like a giant bird. And so you would be fighting. It's one of those scrolling fighting games, right? And so you'd be there basically fighting enemies, and then suddenly the sky would move all over the place, and you're like, "What's going on?" And as you get closer to the edge, you can start to see like the head of the animal, and you're like, "Oh dear." And I can't remember what that game is called, but I do remember something about that. But I digress. I'm sorry. Just sort of wandered off whilst this is happening. But as I was looking through the book, the one that really grabbed my eye was Rashid, where that's the one where we finally find out what that
bridge,
that mummified giant bird-looking thing is.
Yeah.
It's
the bridge over the span. Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
I really like that because there's just this whole thought about just that you go under there and you get the and the whispers come to you, but you have to make this huge trip to be able to back and forth in order to be able to make you to act on the knowledge. And they don't know whether it really has anything to do with all the doors in the mesa that they're trying to get into. Those, that's the thing, is way up on top of a mesa. And there's a bridge spanning from this mesa to the next one, essentially, and in order to get back and forth, you got to pass under this thing that looks like a giant bird's head, but that's where the whispers come to you, and. I think they you can have it. They affect people in different ways. The catholith, I believe they call it.
Yeah.
And so I really liked that. I think that's sort of a cool environment, especially as a GM, because it's just small enough, I think, as a community and isolated enough that you can get a real feeling of paranoia going, especially since they've got they've got a bit of intrigue going on with the leaders of the place, between them and also the clave that's there.
I like the fact little communities that have their own like thing that's going on, like the whispers, and so they sort of develop their own sort of religion around it or mythos around it, and so. Yeah. Now you've got the players interacting with that, and of course it's not real. That kind of thing is what they're thinking. But hey, you could always make it true. That it lends some mystery to it, so you don't have to just adhere to. I'm sorry, it's not true.
Yeah.
Any environment that's whispering secrets or lies to your players are just.
Oh yes.
Glorious.
But of course, as a Cthulhu fan, I'm very familiar with that sort of thing happening in campaigns, and so where I would go with it.
Dark places. Yes.
So I have to tell you guys, just on a side note, my kids are super excited because they actually get to watch this podcast because it's one of the few podcasts they're able to watch that mommy's on, so they're so excited. They're gonna think they know all of you in the morning. So
yeah, we didn't have this is a PG or PG-13 related discussion on the type of podcast. So I'm glad we've kept it that way before.
I am behaving.
So yes. Right now we can mark up the days since incident chart. Right.
Yes. For the live watcher viewers, live watcher viewers, I can talk today. For the people watching live, you can't edit out the bad words anymore, Jim.
No, that's true. It's I'm not that concerned. I'm not that concerned about it necessarily. I mean, people swear on the various games and stuff that I run or that I host here. So it's not too big a deal for me. It's not a problem so much, I think, if you swear on Twitch. On the podcast, that's going to get edited out should it happen. But
So I just want to share with you listeners that are listening live right now. So what happens is you got to spike that. Danny just swore.
Exactly. But you have been doing admirably, just so you'll know.
Thank you. Now that I completely derailed us.
So, what are some of the other community-related rule sets that you looked at or thought were really interesting, Jim?
So, when you say the rule sets, are we talking about the just the how they put it together, or are we talking about just the different rules?
What
the different rules? Or are we talking about the different communities specifically?
I'm talking about just the different rules of like. Statting out a community and like how your players can interact with building new things in the community and like having projects that they work on. And
I like that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, I like it quite a bit. I liked that you've got these categories that you can essentially just use to make it. It's kind of in a way like the community is a character, but also not, because the only way in which there is direct sort of one-to-one interaction through that is with hordes, which is quite interesting. It's basically anything out there that might threaten the community, like a literal horde of creatures, or maybe it's just one really big creature, or any number of other things, natural disasters, things like that. And so that's where this community's various stats can get attacked, but also as decent shorthand, if you have, say, as a rank 3 community, then that means that on average, most of the things that a PC encounters are going to be level 3 challenges. But they're not necessarily attacking the entire community at once. It's just, the individual thing that you, thing or person that you meet there.
See, I really like the idea of, having your players go out in a community and have something that they work on. Like I could see the glaives sort of helping train the city guard. And if you read any of my set pieces, that I've done, I really like killing off NPCs. So it's like, all right, they train the guard. I'm going to have this one NPC that's, this young kid who's struggling, and have the glaives sort of help him and mentor him. And then, then the community's being attacked, and guess who's going to be in peril? That one glaive. That one guard. So I like that as like, all right, have NPCs that are not always adversarial, but more endearing to the PCs, and the PCs care about, and then putting lives in jeopardy.
Yes.
So,
and then rip them away, Andrew.
Yes.
Yes.
Make them care and then take it away from them.
Oh, but it's always up to the players' roles. Like I'm playing Star Trek Adventures now, and like red shirts die all the time just because. Oh, sorry. Oh, we know we introduced him earlier this show, but you're that role on transporters, and he gets blown up. So sorry. Yeah, I like that aspect of games of having people care about. So you can't do it all the time. You got to string them along for a couple episodes usually.
Yeah.
But. So, but I like that aspect of, you can establish people that the players interact with more than once. It's not, I come to a town, I'm here for a little bit, I meet the locals, I solve the problem, I leave. You're not the wandering nomads anymore. So you can have roots for your players.
Yeah. I also like that there are actions that you can take that will affect the community in the long term. It makes it seem as though what you are doing matters. So I think that helps. And some of them are class-based, but some of them are just sort of general things anyone can do.
Yeah, it's nice to not just go in and save a community and then walk away. It's, to actually have that home base and have rules for it.
And it allows you to do things like, all right, you've built the shield. Your crafter is, built this Numenera device that's shielding the town from the Iron Wind. And of course you have to have an Iron Wind attack. So you got to show that, hey, y'all are helping. Y'all have solved a problem or helped a problem before. Mm-hmm. The guards are stronger, so they're able to survive something or stuff like that. I like you can't just be like, all right, well, thank goodness y'all did that, but it'll never come into play because y'all did that. I've seen that happen in games before where it's like, all right, well, why did I just spend this much time doing this?
Yeah. But I mean, I do like they've got all these goals in here. You've got just things that, in general, discover new areas of interest, enhance community happiness, general maintenance, raise a child. Time varies, it says on that one.
Ooh.
Yeah,
time varies.
That is a definite time commitment.
Well, who knows? I mean, you could be playing a race where it's like 3 days, the gestation period, right?
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So speed things a little.
Or do they mean, when the child's, 2, time seems to pass it one way. When the child's 15, it seems to pass at a different level. Is that what they're talking about, maybe?
Well, that's just everyone.
You can make a cipher up, a quick birth cipher, where you pop the pill and all of a sudden, like, growth is just like, boom, and, guaranteed to work within 26 hours.
I'm trying to figure out if that's something. I mean, that would be a great innovation. I'm just trying to figure out if that would be a good thing or a bad thing.
I'll tell you what, 9 months of being a designated driver, I would speed that along.
Fair. Very fair.
Gotcha. All right. Do y'all want to think maybe what would we make as a community? What kind of community would you want to make? And that's the fun thing about, like, the ninth world is you can sort of set something anywhere and sort of like, all right, it's, a floating head. It's, an underwater community. It's, you can do pretty much anything. And sort of like, I like the idea of when I start my next Cypher, campaign, I want to sit around, or next Numenera campaign, I want to sit around with my players and have a sort of build a community together that they're invested in from the start, and then build characters to live in that community. So I think that's a sort of a cool idea. And so let's try to, what do y'all want to build as a community?
I don't know about building, but something, you're talking about the big giant flea really makes me want to run a game with like characters that are actually really huge and like basically like they're stepping on the ninth world structures, but they're just like little things to them, or really, really little ones like in the Jade Colossus that are just taking up this one room, and like, all these adventures come in and they're giants, and I don't know, just
we could play with that. That's I mean, as far as if we're doing a bit of a brainstorm, we could do something where you have an area where they're having to live side by side with a much smaller race.
Ooh.
And you have to be careful because they're just for some reason dispersed throughout this town that may or may not be there to help protect them for whatever reason. All right,
you have Gullible Travels, I'm thinking, but then also I was like, all right, Brownies and Willow, the little
yeah.
Willow. So, all right,
yes,
got a big community of these guys that are living in the same area. So what is this area that we're living like? What's the huge main feature that they're living in? That's so dichotomy of like big and small, like intermixed. Because I wouldn't want to be like, all right, you don't go into the small district. Because no, I want them intermixed.
I think also we should invite anyone who might be watching right now in chat to throw in ideas as well as we're sort of going with this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
a structure that's beneficial to both. That.
Well, I mean, just type of community is there big. What feature of this area makes it so there's big and small living amongst each other?
Maybe the small just can't get out because of some type of like atmospheric difference. I mean, we know the ninth world is really screwed up in the best way possible. So perhaps they're, I don't know if you played one of the Cypher plays, they had like a big bubble with like its actual own atmosphere inside and own, everything was, it sustained itself. So I'm thinking of some reason why the little ones can't, the smaller, race can't move on.
I have a thought.
I would want the little people to be, to have like to be player characters. I want my 1.5 foot tall player character.
All right. We want them to have freedom.
See, with something like this, there'd probably be room for doing it either way.
Yeah.
But something that occurred to me is, and this is okay. Forgive me for making this reference, but did you see the movie Downsizing that came out, I think, sometime last year?
I have not, but I remember a lot of the commercials. It looked pretty interesting.
That's okay. It was not received incredibly well, but I think there was a cool idea in there, possibly worth harvesting. What if you've got a situation where maybe some of the smaller people used to be bigger people, and there's some sort of field or some sort of effect going on that changes them over. Does that sound reasonable, or do we think it's better for it to be a completely separate race? Or maybe there is a separate race down there, and there's a way to transfer back and forth to their scale.
So I see this is there is a weird quirk in the area, sort of like the one of the shadows that sort of has the things of the past sort of happen. There's a weird quirk in the area that will shrink you or make you big, but you'll stay that way for an indeterminate amount of time. And maybe there is something that like there's a Numenera structure that is small, that is tiny, that goes underground. And the only way to get into it is when you're small. And there's a lot of things to mine there. There's a lot of Numenera pieces there. There's a lot of iotems in there, maybe. And so when you're small, you want to go and venture. And when you're big, you just sort of have to make sure that you let the community continue to grow and survive, so that when you're small again, you can go out and into that structure.
We've just had something that I'm thinking is we just had a suggestion in chat about the small community living off the wastes of the larger community. What I'm thinking is, what if that structure, maybe originally, and maybe some of what they've recovered is that it was perhaps some sort of waste processing plant.
Oh, jeez.
And so you've got certain things that are recycled, and they've figured out how to recycle certain things, and are using that to basically give supplies to the smaller community when they need it.
Maybe it's a recharges ciphers or reactivates Numenera, that kind of thing down there. And so people come to the community by and large to help, to get their ciphers recharged, or the little pieces of Numenera recharged and reactivated. And then while they're there, they get shrunk, and now they've got to stay there till they're big again, and that kind of thing. So.
And thank you, Spigs from Cypher Unlimited, for that suggestion, because just that one line is maybe the small communities live off the waste of the larger community. Think of all the things we're doing with that, how many places that can go, and how dark it could get.
I like the idea that maybe they refer to it as the size tax when you go in to refresh your cipher. You must spend a certain number of days, perhaps, or however long it takes. Small.
Maybe it's not that. It's just that there's a line, or there's a lot of it takes a while to do that. So while you're in the town, if it happens to you, it happens to you. Now you're stuck there having to take part in the community. You got drafted, or the lottery of this. Sorry, you're up. So. And that's kind of in the bylaws of the community system. It's like, if you're small, you have to go do this. You have to take part. So
I like that. I like that a lot. there could be like an effect going around that maybe it's from the plant itself. That maybe it had something to do with how they were, whoever it was that built it, but it's perhaps some of that whole management of things that that building was about might have been about making things smaller to aid in storage and what have you, and so that might have been kind of just that part of it is sort of. That its operation is sort of broken loose and is happening around the area randomly.
And so, I could see a rumor being that maybe some people with the constabulary actually control it or know how to make sure that certain people turn small and big and stuff like that, so that it's not exactly random. Maybe that's a rumor going on, and that's that they have to go.
Conspiracies.
Well, that's very interesting because that automatically kind of pits them against anyone who might be coming out from the from and any Aeon priests that might be coming out, because then that's very clearly they're trying to maybe, if the rumor is true, they might be running a racket essentially to keep that information in a very small circle. And adventurers coming in threatens that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part, is making the threats.
Yeah. What's another interesting rumor or that you can think of for this kind of thing? That doesn't have to be related to the making the small or big, or maybe there's a rumor that there's something deeper in the Numenera structure. That there's a great power source in there. There's something that, while you're in there, instead of you're just recharging ciphers, that there's actually something greater that you can go look for, fight, or discover. I guess not fight.
I'm wondering if there's like, I don't know how deep we want to get with this, but I'm wondering if there may be supposed to be caverns beneath the thing, and what if there is some thought that there are actually, and I know this sounds a little weird, especially geographically, but what if there are giants living down there? Which does, it's like maybe something went horribly wrong with the machine, or maybe these were related in some way to whatever previous world the machine had been built in. It's hard to say, but there's like maybe a couple of ruins down there that look like they were built for larger creatures.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it makes you smaller. What happens if there's it goes the opposite way while you're stuck down there and you have to live in this other underground area that's much bigger.
Yeah.
So, or there's people that are just much bigger walking around down there while you're small.
What if the rumor is you're just in one little snow globe, and that actually you're nothing, and every once in a while somebody disappears and they've transcended into watching over you.
Actually, no, there's if you bring in the idea of ultra-terrestrials into that, you can totally make that work. That's how I would do it anyway. But the thought that maybe occasionally, and this is still the big and small thing that we're sort of playing off of, but what if there is this point where it's like the walls or I don't know if the town would necessarily have a force field per se, but what if there's a thing where occasionally people have perhaps had these dreams where there's a huge finger tapping on the glass on the outside, and there's not supposed to be glass there, but they perceive it for a moment, just a split second, as though there are huge creatures out there that are actually watching this community.
Like it.
Yeah, you could go that route. It's a bit meta. It
is a bit meta. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, playing with that whole sort of Gulliver's Travel motif, kind of, you can do a lot with that. So I think that's all right. So I guess what are we naming this community?
That's an excellent question. I was just getting ready. I was just getting ready to go to Fantasy Name Generator for a moment and see if there's.
I like to chat for names when I'm streaming, and I think on Tuesday's D&D game, the town ended up being Gronkberry. Oh, it was a nightmare. It was something else, but then we named it Gronkberry because I'm from New England and the Patriots are Gronkberry.
Oh. I remember witnessing that. I will admit I was a little bit tilted after that because I was sitting in there trying to type so many things, and it's like, they're going to that one. I was in there throwing out like a bunch of things, both silly and non-silly, and then it ends up.
All right,
with Gronkberry. Okay, fine, we'll go with that. But it was that is true. If anyone has a recommendation for a name for such a place, then
that's the great thing about Numenera. You could just name it, splash the keyboard, and all right, there's your name.
This is true. This is true. I'm just trying to see what would make a good basis off here if I want to play with that.
Obviously, this isn't the Beyond somewhere.
Yeah.
Let me go get my atlas. We'll go find out.
The Pegasus name generator is giving me names like sort of Latinate names, or Greek, Latin, sort of Eurydras's, Caparius, Tyrosus.
Tyrosus. Atlas. I meant guidebook. Tyrosus? What was that last?
Do you like Tyrosus?
I like Tyrosus.
I like Tyrosus, yeah.
Tyrossus. Or some variant of that.
And I'm sorry for going out there. I just want to play a world at some point where everybody's just
go out there. That was that fits right in.
Yeah, it's totally cool. No, that was awesome.
I was perfectly fine with I like the idea of having a transition, having there's got to be a hook, and having all right, your players, one of your players gets turned small. I mean, now what do you do with this? That kind of thing. What happens if all the players turn small? Then we know, it's not random, is it? So,
ooh, what if there's magical, not candy? I think Alice in Wonderland, eat me, and you can you can if you get the special cipher, you can.
Oh, I am sure there are not apothecaries, people that are selling herbs or potions or concoctions that drink this, or this will stop you from becoming small. This will protect you while you're here. These charlatans out there selling these things.
Yes, I love that.
Taking all your hard-earned shins.
People pretending they know how to get at it when in fact they don't.
Yeah, I like that idea.
So, do we like Tyrosus? Is that a good name for?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll just do one S in the middle, Tyrosus, just to simplify that, perhaps.
Yeah.
What did we want to think about? What rank this community might be? Anything like that?
Yeah, let's look at that. Size-wise, I wouldn't see more than I would say a couple thousand at least, because you've got this whole structure working with the, you got laws, you got people that are controlling all of that. So I would say at least rank 3. Let me see what the ranks mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, with that level of with that effect going on, if they actually have an ability to control it somewhat, then yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
rank 3 can be up to 10,000 people. So I mean, as small as 300. So it's a big swing there, but yeah.
And the question is, how do you count the tiny people?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, do they? When the town's being attacked,
there's a census worker.
No, I meant are they counted as full populace when? when the town's under attack by a horde of abhumans.
Is there anything they can do if the town gets attacked, or is there something where they're able to?
I bet you there's like near the mine. There's this whole little tiny like house in like temporary housing set up for everybody to live in and stuff like that while they're there. Storms and stuff like that. So there's this little, dollhouse type community sitting over, over here in the corner.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Then there's stuff that people have left behind and stuff,
Yeah.
Well, big because they don't need anymore. So it's all this sort of like, maybe notes from people or little maps of the inside of people that have delved deeper than they should have, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's a neat idea too.
Yeah. So that would make it roughly, and this is they say that you can change these depending on how you want to look at the community and the different factors. This is more of a guideline necessarily than a rule specifically, but it would give it like there's a health score, which is usually like about like 3 times the the infrastructure is usually about 3 times the rank. Right. So that'd be that. So the structures there perhaps at around would put it at around 9, and also so it's the same also for health. So they about 9 health, about 9 infrastructure.
Don't worry, your glaive can't swing his heavy weapon and kill the community.
Exactly.
That's not the same kind of ranks of a monster or what have you.
Yeah. So. And unless we want to say that this plant or structure or whatever it is also has some effect on that, perhaps that might change how well defended it is. Does it give the community armor in some sense, do we think?
It could. I mean, or it could not. I mean,
It's an interesting question, since essentially it supposedly happens at random.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's what they use as defense, is they've spread the word. I mean, hey, no one wants to attack this town because while they're there, they might shrink.
That's very cool.
That's good.
That kind of thing is, you spread the word of that this thing happens here. But then again, you also want people to come and bring their ciphers so you can tax them, and when they get them refreshed.
It's like a psychological defense almost in a way, and that's I like that a lot. That might give it something. I mean, I'd totally give that, like, if sort of like at least a level of armor, just as far as people attacking it are a little hesitant to. Just anyone who knows about it are going to be trying to be careful if they're attacking the place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, cool. I like this.
We should run this sometime.
Yes. That's my next question. So when are we playing this?
All right, I'll have to just listen to the podcast, write it all down, and then all right. So then the next step would be like, all right, so who are some of the authority figures in the town, and what's really going on? Let's build a faction in the town. Let's do like, all right, you're going to build all these things, these little seeds, and then then you're like, all right, what are you going to play in this world? So
I think it'd be fun to revisit this and keep building on it. Yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
All right.
Done.
All right, so let's, I guess, move on after our discussion. We could talk about communities for a while, but we think we kind of talked a little longer than we expected, I think. So what are some other things going on, non-Cypher related, that y'all are interested in or seeing? Are sort of our things of interest section of our podcast in a way, but
Yeah.
I have a really good one. A Catacon is happening. It is a gaming convention in Ohio happening in November. It's really small and intimate. There's always Cypher and Newman going on, but it's one of my favorite cons, and I cannot wait to run games there. So
I almost thought you said Hawaii. I was like, well, wait a second.
Hawaii.
That one.
I'm in.
That's slightly farther away, but so much more tempting.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I've been trying to make a Catacon for a couple of years, and it's just a bad time for me. of the year in that regard. So, but
You're going to pack some plug though, right?
maybe not.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Our other friends dropped out that were going, and we've just had a couple other things. Like we have a new exchange student for our semester, so
Cool.
that we unexpectedly took on. So
Well, that is
so from Italy. So we've got a new house guest and stuff like that going on. So hey, we might not make it to PAX this year. I hope to still, maybe, but it's up in the air.
Awesome. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and do my thing of interest.
Oh, what you got?
That I have, as part of this falling into the Twitch madness that I've been doing, I have been doing some video gaming, and finally I have had the opportunity to play We Happy Few. For those of you who have not been playing this or are not familiar with it, it is really cool. It's very much a survival game. But it's the setting is an alternate history, 1960s UK, 1960s England, and something terrible has happened. They're not quite sure what it is because everyone has forgotten exactly what it is that has happened, because it is mandatory to take drugs that make you forget. And apparently they did something so terrible that they had to forget. And the drugs make you happy. The drugs are called joy. And so you have these, essentially these two sort of communities. One of the folks who are on the inside who are all have these masks. These are literal masks that they wear on their faces that give them all a smile. And as they go about their days, utterly unable to remember anything that's happened in the past, censoring anything that might alarm anyone. And then you have the folks on the outside, the downers or the wastrels that they've exiled to the outer islands, who have by choice or more commonly the drug just sort of stopped working for them. And they're out there and they can remember, and perhaps they don't even want to remember, but they're starting to remember things, and but it still comes back in bits and pieces, and all that's really thus far as I've gotten into the game, what I've pieced together is something different happened in the 1940s, something different happened in World War II, somewhere 1945 to 1947. There is some indication that.
Hey, don't spoil it now.
There's some indication of this is pretty early on, but there's some indication of things happening differently from the way we remember them. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to uncovering more and just sort of seeing what's in there.
Diving deeper, yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I like the aesthetic of the game. It is very much a survival thing, not nearly as difficult as the early
survival games,
sort of, or as the sort of pre-releases were that you may have seen people playing on YouTube a couple of years ago. It's a little easier, I'm finding it, but I'm just starting on the standard setting. So gotcha. it's not annoying in that sense. You can actually make it work. But it's very cool, and I'm looking forward to delving into it. And I recommend anyone who's interested in that kind of thing and games that get deeply psychological to go and check that out.
Nice.
All right. It does look like a fun, interesting game. So, for me, my thing of interest is. Other than the Cypher system, my other game rule set of choice is from Free League, the Mutineer Zero and Tales from the Loop and Coriolis thing, and they're in the midst of the final days of their new Kickstarter, the standalone expansion to Tales from the Loop, Things from the Flood. And this is again based off of a Simon Stahlhag art book and storybook, and it takes things from the Tales from the Loop was the 80s that never were, and all of this sort of the wonder. Now we're going to go into the 90s, and you play teenagers, and it's a little bit darker, a little bit edgier, a little bit more depressing in some regards, and you are the loop has been shut down, and water has risen and covered it, and now some creatures and things have emerged from the flood, and a virus is taking over the machines that existed, and so there's new mysteries. So you get the band back together from your Tales from the Loop crowd and start exploring some more. But this time it's more dangerous. You might lose a player, and that kind of thing. It looks amazing as usual. Simon Stahlhag's art is awesome. And the Free League has not let me down yet in their books and what have you. So I'm really excited about that, and can't wait for Amazon's Tales from the Loop TV show, and wait to see what happens here. So if you're watching live, go check out the Kickstarter. If you're listening to the podcast, you can still back it usually off of a backer kit or what have you. So yeah, check it out still, and to see if it's something that interests you. It's great stuff. They've unlocked a lot of things. They're up to they just got their custom dice done, and they're about to release a new set of stretch goals soon. So
yeah, that looks really cool. And also, can I just briefly say I have been watching an awesome game of Tales from the Loop that has been getting run on Twitch on Monday nights on the Unmade Gaming on that channel. Greg has his own channel where he runs a lot of Cthulhu stuff over Grimjack 21502. Is running it, and it is brilliant. He falls so much into the 80s tropes. He has playlists that he tells folks to queue up at different times, and he's been pretty much hitting most of the 80s tropes with this game. He's got one of the characters has this little toy helmet, and that's it's a Transformers helmet, and he's actually receiving he's receiving missions for the group from someone with the voice of Optimus Prime.
Oh my God.
Nice.
And it's great, and the GM and Greg does the voice. It's really cool. It's really cool. It's awesome. And so I suggest folks go and check that out. That's on Unmade Gaming on Monday nights.
I think Tales from the Loop, and Tales from the Loop has become a sort of a staple after hours one-shot game at Gen Con. We've done it the last couple of years since it's been out. So last year I got to actually play, and I was the year before I ran, so I was playing Johnny, the karate obsessed kid who was
Johnny.
Stole Danny's father because he was the sensei, and so her character didn't have a father figure. But
Daddy wanted a boy.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so much fun playing that.
It's a lot of fun to play that game. It's so maybe next year we'll bring out Things from the Flood as the Gen Con game.
I'm gonna clip that.
So yeah, I enjoy running that as a one shot. I'd like to run it a little bit longer, and I enjoy playing it as well. It's a very fun system. So just to be teenagers in the 80s or teenagers in the 90s again, or kids in the 80s. So yeah, it's a fun system. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the next one.
Cool.
Sure.
All right, and I think with that, it's we're about done. So thanks for joining me, Jim and Danny. Danny, where can people find you, and what are you going to be doing lately?
Oh, hi. Yes. Well, on Twitch here, I'm Drunken Geekery, but mainly look for me on Twitter. It's at Imperial Scum. but you can see me on Twitch twice a week. On Tuesdays, I run a game called The Dying Kingdom on the Greyhawk channel. It takes place in the Great Kingdom. It's dark, it's dirty, and we have actually some really awesome Cypher folks on it. Jess, Burst of Hope, who just joined in, she's on it, and it's a lot of fun. I also play in a Sunday night game called Return to Greyhawk on the Greyhawk channel. We get a little crazy as in that one. I am on a Shadow the Demon Lord podcast called Tales of Blood and Stone. And that is also very dark with a mature warning because it goes places nightmares are made of.
Yes, it does.
I love it. And here, and I'm so happy to be here. And this is really cool streaming with you guys. And I'm going to see Social Distortion tonight, everybody. So
all right.
I'll thank you all.
All right, Jim, where can people find you and what are you going to be up to?
Indeed.
Other than right here on your Twitch channel.
Yeah, I'm going to be here a lot. I can tell you that. But in various other things, various other parts of life, I have a short story out. I've released my first self-published short story. It's out on Amazon for Kindle. It's called Titanic Jocularity. And it's a humorous sort of Munchausen pastiche about Restoration-era nobles flying wooden ships through space. So if you think you'd be into that kind of thing, that's for sale out there. It's $1 if you want to pick it up. Or if you've got Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. So feel free to go and check that out. It's the first thing I've ever self-published, so just sort of testing the waters there. And here on my Twitch channel, I play video games on Fridays and Saturday mornings. On alternate Saturday afternoons, I have a guest GM who comes over and runs a game of The Cold Ruins of Last Life, which is a setting for Dungeon World where the PCs are all undead. That one's that's it.
Like that.
Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. I'm playing a ghost paladin. In that, and so we're finally getting ready to pick that up again this Saturday, and it's going to be real interesting. There's a lot of angst.
I like one part of that combination, the ghost part. I hate paladins.
Perhaps his cause has perhaps drifted a bit since the time that he was alive. Things might be a bit different for him now.
Not my almost brother-in-law paladin you played.
Yeah.
Loved him. You made me cry.
But also on Sundays,
flashback to Dragonlance once again.
That's fair.
So, I've never really got to play Dungeon World. I want to though. I think the Apocalypse World, the rule set is powered by Apocalypse Games, have been really fun. I've had a lot of fun playing those games. So I really like. All right, Dungeon World, let's give it a go. I haven't been able to yet.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah, hey, come around sooner or later. I'm going to get to it in the one shots that I run on this channel. So you never know.
All right.
And on Sundays, for anyone who might be interested, I do run one shots of different games. Usually it's Sunday early evening. This month I'm running a horror urban fantasy game about living nightmares called Don't Rest Your Head. And that was written a while back by Fred Hicks, who came out with Fate. And so folks at all interested in that kind of thing, feel free to come on by. And just as far as finding me in general, my handle on both Twitch and Twitter is OtherDoc. That's OTHERDOC. And as always, you can find my general geek rambling podcast and links to my various other projects, audio and otherwise, at JimYesThatJim.com.
Nice.
And I am Andrew Cady, and you can find me at my20sidedlife.com, as well as on Twitter at my20sidedlife. My podcast has been taking a bit of a hiatus, but I hope to get that back up and running now that we've started back up a second season of Star Trek and starting to gear up into other games. So hopefully I can get some more out there for that. Well, it's been a lot of fun with you guys. We went longer than we expected. Yeah. We've had a great show, in my opinion. So
yeah I really enjoyed it. I enjoy doing it this way. This is cool.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, listeners. You have reached the end of yet another episode of the CypherCast. Please email us if you have any suggestions or questions at info@cyphercast.net. You can follow us at Twitter at CypherCastNet. And say, or you can see us here on Twitch now at twitch.tv/otherdoc. So I'm sure he's Jim, you're going to put VODs up of this, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Nice.
And it'll also be on my YouTube channel later on.
Great. I think we have a CypherCast YouTube that we might show up as well on there too.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So, all right. Well, I guess that is it for a episode of the CypherCast. Catch y'all next time, everybody.
Love you all.
Bye.
Cheers. Thank you for listening.
Now we've got actual people on Twitch. We've got to say bye to.
I know.
Don't worry, it'll be all right. Take care, folks. Awesome.